Alright folks, it's day 26 of 31 Days of Horror-Ween 2017, so, we got like, what is it, 5 days left and we're over and done with the whole kit and caboodle. Alright, well we're still in the 1990s, this is our last installment from that decade, and we're going out on a really, really high note. For 1998, we'll be taking a look at Apt Pupil, which, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the better Stephen King adaptations out there. Maybe, I'm hesitant to say the best, but I'm really struggling to think of a Stephen King adaptation I like more than this one. There's a lot of good ones, but I think this one is probably the best overall. I don't know, I guess if you count the Green Mile and Shawshank, but, it's not really pure horror either. Well anyway, asides about that. But yeah, this is a really, really, really good movie. One of the more underappreciated horror films from the 1990s. Like, even now, not a lot of people are really aware of it. And it's directed by Bryan Singer, who later went on to do X-Men. And I guess you really can't talk about Bryan Singer's work without talking about the fact that, there are some allegations about him, if you catch my drift, that people have been saying that for years and years he's been kind of going Victor Salva on some of his young actors. Of course, he hasn't been convicted, but if you've ever seen the documentary, An Open Secret, you know this guy probably doesn't have a clean record. So before we get into the meat of the matter, you got to separate the art from the artist. I think as a human being, Bryan Singer, in my estimates, just using what I know about him so far and then looking at the evidence, he's probably a sex offender. He probably is. I'm not saying that he is, but I'm just saying I think in my heart of hearts that at the end of the day, he'll probably get drudged up like Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein eventually. So if that's the kind of thing that turns you off to a movie altogether, letting you know about it up front. So that's that. But as far as the movie itself, I can't complain. It's great. You've got Ian McKellen, Magneto, going against top, playing a evil Nazi guy who's moved to America under an assumed name. And next door neighbor is played by Brad Renfro, who, a lot of people don't know this, he's dead. He's been dead for God, how many years now? More than a decade. Whatever happened to him? I don't know. I'm not saying that Bryan Singer got a hold of him, because that would be like libel or slander, so I'm not going to say that. And, but yeah, he's dead. It's kind of weird. We'll never talk about that. But anyway, asides. We're getting to a lot of asides on this one. So Brad Renfro, he plays the next door neighbor. He's in high school. He's about to graduate. And for whatever reason, he's really obsessed with the Holocaust and, Nazi war criminals. And what are the odds? You have a runaway Nazi war criminal living next door. Granted, you gotta take that with a huge grain of salt. You've got to really suspend your disbelief for this movie to work, but you know what? That's just the way it is. And it's very character driven. It's not a horror film where it's really based around scares or kills. It's just basically revolves around two people who are psychopaths in two very different ways, kind of forming a symbiosis of madness. And it reminds me a lot of In a Glass Cage, that great Spanish-Italian horror film, which actually has kind of the same dynamic, too, because it's also about Nazis, except in that one, and I covered it last year for last year's 31 Days of Horror-Ween. That's where actually the Nazi is stuck in what they call it, an iron lung, and one of his victims is taking care of him, and is even crazier than he is. So it's very similar to that thematically, although not as extreme, not as unnerving. But there's some good stuff in this. The acting is fantastic. Watching Ian McKellen and Brad Renfro go back and forth, absolutely phenomenal. And you actually have David Schwimmer coming in as a guidance counselor. Plays, I guess, the third major role in the movie. But, it's really, really good. If you're one of those guys where if you like more cerebral horror movies, if you like movies where there's actually character dynamics in play, where people actually have dialogue and they try to make it realistic and it's not all jump scares, and it's not just, goofy, bloody TNA, you're going to love this one. This is a great thinking man's horror film. And it's great. I've watched it a couple of times, and it keeps getting better and better. This is truly an unsung gem from a decade where I think a lot of the really good stuff really hasn't come to light yet, and is still underappreciated. And if you haven't seen this one, you should, because it is a very, very, very good movie. Not just a good horror movie, but a great movie overall. So using our patented tofu dog rating system, I'm going to give this one 3.5 tofu dogs out of 4. Almost pulled the trigger on 4, but I don't know, it kind of falls apart at the end. There are some things going on in that movie that I mean, even if it were the basis alone commands you to suspend your disbelief, the stuff that happens in the last 20 minutes of this movie, just for I can't even like accept that. It's just so coincidental. But neither here nor there. It's still an overall a very, very good movie. All right. Well, tomorrow is October 27th, so it's day 27 of 31 Days of Horror. And for that, we're going to be taking a look at a film from the early 2000s. It's a film directed by probably my favorite current director who's alive right now making movies. It's one of his. He had like 3 or 4 magnum opus from 2001 alone, so just knowing that, you know who I'm talking about. But it's a really, really great horror, comedy, musical amalgamation. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm revisiting. It's great. You already know what it is because I gave you too many clues, but it'll be a surprise for tomorrow, and we'll get into that, and it'll be a fun time for everybody. I guarantee it. All right, well, that's all I got for you today. As always, if you can't do anything else in life, at least you can stay spooky. All right, see you later, kids.